driving business.
Hello there, welcome to the Financial Markets Show, your day-to-day program that gives you direct insights on the various market trends, different treasury bonds, and so on. It's me, Nampija Gloria, together with
Victor Chigaru.
We are diving straight up into the insights concerning the Uganda Stock Exchange, and we see how it went down as of yesterday. And we are going to be listing all the listed equities and the overall market performance. What do you have for us, Victor?
Well, it's indeed a fine Thursday, and known in layman's language, Thursday is actually a day of remembrance, or in other terms, we could call it a throwback. So, just to give you a small setback and a small view of USE's journey, it was actually incorporated in 1997 as a company limited by guarantee without share capital. So its principal stock exchange of Uganda, and it was actually established as a result of the government's policy of transforming the country's economy from a public to that of a private sector basis. So the Uganda Securities Exchange actually offers an organized market where buyers and sellers of securities are actually meet with dealers, the brokers, and or they could be represented to acquire or sell securities such as equity shares, bonds, and as an alternative source of investment capital for small and large enterprises. So the Uganda Securities Exchange represents a link between companies with capital needs and the general public with savings to invest, allowing these investors to become part owners of the companies listed.
Absolutely, Victor. And it's also crucial to understand the composition of the market. And looking at the table, we see various listed equities with notable names like KCB Group, Stanbic Bank Uganda, and East African Brewers. So what caught your eye in terms of stock movements, Victor?
Well, looking at the numbers as of yesterday's trading session, we're actually seeing a total of 5,663,350 shares. And actually, it's corresponding to a market value of about 153,362,750 Ugandan shillings. So, looking at these numbers, we're comparing it with the previous trading day, which was yesterday, and the data is actually showing a 502% improvement in volume and a 223% improvement in turnover, and of course leaving us with a market capitalization of 16.2 trillion Ugandan shillings.
Interesting. And looking at one of our notable gainers, we have KCB Group that stood out as the top gainer, showing a 4.78% increase in their share price, and closing at around 502.40 per share Ugandan shillings. We have Stanbic Bank and Jubilee Holdings that also had positive movements with gains of 1.14% and 1.35% respectively. East African Breweries, although with the most modest increase, showed positive momentum with around 0.56% gain. And it's actually notable and interesting to see how Umeme was not only the listed equity that experienced a decline, but with a share price decrease of around 3.38%. So any insights on what could have influenced Umeme's performance, Victor?
Well, of course, in this particular situation, we know that it was a news factor and it must have affected investor sentiment in one way or another. But just to give you something brief that came from Umeme as of this week, it was a notice to shareholders as well as the public, and it was stating that Umeme Limited, in accordance with its disclosure obligations under the Uganda Securities Exchange Listing Rules 2021, informs its shareholders as well as the general public of the following changes in its board of directors. So the company at its board of directors meeting held on 16th November 2023 received notice from Miss Florence Nsubuga of her intention to leave the company and take up a new career in the sector. So Miss Florence Nsubuga has served as the Chief Operations Officer since 2012. And as an executive director of the company since March 2015. And the company would actually like to thank Miss Florence Nsubuga for her exemplary and dedicated service to Umeme and the electricity supply industry. So the company would like to wish her all the best in her new role. And this was actually brought out by Shonubi Musoke and co-advocates, who is the company secretary, on 17th November 2023.
Indeed, and looking into some of information on Umeme, in case you want to invest in it, Umeme Limited was first incorporated in Uganda as a private limited company. This was on May 6th, 2004, and later converted into a public company on June 28th, 2012. Under the Companies Act, Umeme is subsidiary of Umeme Holdings, which itself is a subsidiary Actis Infrastructure, and 2LP, an investment fund under the Management Act, and Umeme took over the distribution system for the distribution and supply of electricity in Uganda. So it's listed under the Uganda Securities Exchange with a ticker symbol of UMEM, and this was on November 20th, actually November 30th, 2012. And what do we have from our Umeme's performance as of yesterday, Victor?
Well, looking at the numbers, Gloria, as of yesterday, the share price still stands at 400 Ugandan shillings, and actually that is per share, and it was recording a 3.4% drop from its previous closing price of 414. So Umeme began there with a share price of about 275 Ugandan shillings and has since gained 45.5% on that price valuation, ranking it second on the Uganda Securities Exchange in terms of a year-to-date performance.
Indeed, and Umeme is also the third most traded stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange over the past 3 months. We are looking at August 21st to November 22nd, 2023. Umeme has also traded a volume of around 16.7 million traded shares, valued at around 6.8 billion over the period, with an average of around 265,612 traded shares per session, and a volume high of around 2.7 million traded shares that was achieved on September 25th.
Well, that is indeed activity coming from Umeme, and we do know that this news coming out is bound to affect investor sentiment. Most investors out there could have believed that the success of the company as it is right now, today, is due to Miss Florence's participation, and her leaving might actually affect investors, even shareholders, and we're already seeing it showing, and it's already reflecting on the Uganda Securities Exchange.
Absolutely, Victor. And the data shows a remarkable 502% increase in trading volume and a 223% improvement in turnover. So such significant changes on the market actually suggest increased market activity. And the market capitalization now stands at 16.2 trillion Ugandan shillings, indicating the overall value of all the listed equities.
Indeed. So shifting our focus to the market indices, the performance of the all-share index, the local company index. Gloria, what do you have from the indices?
Well, looking at the indices, we have the all-share index that actually increased by 4.19 points, representing a 0.46% gain. We have the USA local company index that also saw a marginal increase of around 0.01%. What's your take on these index movements, Victor?
Well, indeed, we're already noticing a lot is happening with those indices, and we won't fail to notice that the local company index is already taking the lead from the all-share index, and it goes to show us that the local companies are actually rather fighting and performing, bringing out results for their investors as well as other shareholders and the public as well.
Indeed, and the positive movement on the all share index actually indicates a broader uptrend in the overall market, with a 0.46% gain in the significant, especially considering the 1 week, 4 week, and year to date metrics. However, it's also important to note that the USD has also experienced a year-to-date gain of around 25.16%, which might be a concern for the long-term investors and might be interesting to explore the factors contributing to this annual decline.
Indeed, but focusing on the local company index, we're noticing it has increased by about 0.01% to reach about 278.73 points. Gloria, what is your take on that?
Well, it all seems that this is a positive and actually cautious signals or from these various indices. Looking at the year-to-date gain, actually, the local company index is actually encouraging, but the overall market annual loss is also something investors might want to keep an eye out on. And this market analysis actually provides a snapshot on one trading day, and investors should actually consider a combination of short-term and long-term factors when making investment decisions. So it will be beneficial actually to dig into individual company financials, economic indicators, and any recent developments in the impact of the market.
And Gloria, before we leave the Uganda Securities Exchange, do you think it is actually worth looking into Stanbic Bank?
Exactly, it's actually worth looking into Stanbic Bank. Stanbic Bank was among the performers yesterday, aside from Bank of Baroda that actually led the gainers with 4.12 million traded shares. What do you have for us from Stanbic Bank, Victor?
Well, as I said, it's a Thursday, so I do believe investors need to know where these companies are coming from to bring up such results and to perform the way they do. So Stanbic Bank is actually part of Africa's leading financial services group, Standard Bank, and it is the largest financial institution in Uganda, licensed under the Financial Institutions Act of 2004. So the bank was actually founded in Uganda as the National Bank of India in 1906, and after several names being changed, it became a Grand Lays Bank. And when the Standard Bank Group actually bought the Grand Lays network in Africa, it also, in around October 1993, it re-established a presence in Uganda as Stanbic Bank. So, Gloria, how does what are the operations of the bank? We're seeing 71 points of representation.
Well, the operations, I think we should actually even just go up straight up to their performance and see how this comes up for the investors.
Indeed.
Because Stanbic Bank will close this last trading day, which was Wednesday, 22nd November 2023, at 32.45 Ugandan shillings per share. And this was around a 1.4% gain over the previous closing price of 32.00 Ugandan shillings. It actually began the year with 21.00 Ugandan shillings share stock price and has since gained 54.5% on that price valuation, ranking it first in terms of year-to-date performance on the USA.
Well, Stanbic Bank Uganda is the second most traded stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange over the past 3 months. We are talking October 21st to November 22nd. So Stanbic Bank has actually traded a total volume of 74 million shares valued at Ugandan shillings 2.4 billion, and that is over that period, with an average of 1.17 million traded shares per session. And a volume high of about 29.9 million was achieved on October 19th of the same period. And
unfortunately, since we are only providing focusing on the equities, we don't have a breakdown on the sector itself as for now. But we can speculate on the various sectors and the companies listed, where we have these financial institutions like KCB Group and Stanbic Bank Uganda, like we talked about it, a telecommunications company, MTN Uganda, and companies with consumer goods like the East African Brewers. So this sectoral analysis actually is another layer of understanding these various market trends. Now, looking at the volumes, we have Bank of Baroda that led with around 4.12 million traded shares, followed by Stanbic Bank Uganda with around 1.38. What are your thoughts on these significant volumes, Victor?
Well, Bank of Baroda is indeed pushing through the harsh market conditions as we speak. But this bank is also one that stands on its reputation, and it was incorporated in 1969 as a subsidiary bank as a subsidiary of Bank of Baroda, India. And it is one of the leading banks in Asia with about 2,750 branches in 17 countries. And the bank has been operating in Uganda since 1953. So when it began as an overseas branch of Baroda, India, subsequent to its incorporation, the government of Uganda acquired 49% shareholdings of Bank of Baroda, leaving Baroda, India with the remaining 51%. So Bank of Baroda is one of the main international banks in Uganda with 6 branches around the country, offering a range of products including savings and current accounts, custodial services, and brokerage and investment advisory.
Indeed, and looking into the numbers, Bank of Baroda closes last trading day with around 15.00 Ghanaian shillings per share, and this actually recorded around a gain for their side. And Bank of Baroda began there with a share price of 85.00 Ghanaian shillings, but has lost around 82.4 of that price valuation, ranking it the 18th on the USA in terms of year-to-date performance.
Bank of Baroda is the most traded stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, and it is followed by Stanbic Bank, surprisingly. But over the past 3 months, we're talking August 21st to November 22nd, Bank of Baroda has actually traded a volume of 94 million shares, valued at 1.4 billion Ugandan shillings, and that is over that period. But this is leaving us with an average of 1.49 million traded shares per session, a volume high of 22.5 million, and all that was achieved on October 30th of the same period. But as we chose to focus on the banking sector as of today, I think it is also worthy to look through KCB's performance. It being in the banking sector and being cross-listed is something that investors need to set their eyes on. So, Gloria, KCB Group.
We're looking into KCB Group, a subsidiary of Kenya-based KCB Group actually is a commercial bank in Uganda, Victor. This bank actually opened business in November 2007 as a commercial plaza on Kampala Road. While KCB Bank offers fully fledged universal banking products that are tailored on the Ugandan market, with taking advantage of emerging investment and regional opportunities to support the inter-regional trade in the East African region.
Quite a strategy, don't you think? It is bound to indeed help in improving financial behavior amongst East Africans. But as of yesterday's trading session, KCB closed off with 502 Ugandan shillings per share, and it closed its last trading day at 1,503.12 Ugandan shillings per share on the Uganda Securities Exchange. But KCB began there with a share price of 1,144.54 Ugandan shillings and has since lost 56.1% of that price valuation. So this is ranking it the 6th on the Uganda Securities Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. And looking at all this performance and the way the curve is going, we're actually seeing that it is actually still going down. And 56.1% is not small. But we are trusting that investors are actually steady, hoping that it might go up anytime soon, or probably as the new year comes in. But we also have to note that it is a cross-listed entity, so they have been going through some tight financial conditions, and it's not coming as a surprise that the share price is still going down as of today.
Indeed, so that's why we heard from the Uganda Stock Exchange, or Securities Exchange as we love to call it. So shifting our focus on the rest of East Africa, whereby we're looking at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. The last trading day that unfolded on Wednesday, November 22nd, 2023. We have to look at this and dissect the key elements of this trading day, analyzing the equities, market trends and indices, and starting by looking at the overall trading statistics. What do you have for us?
So the Nairobi Securities Exchange recorded a total of 7,043,500 shares traded in about 835 deals. So this is leaving us with a market value of 81,903,475 Kenyan shillings. However, we're seeing a decline in several key metrics compared to the previous trading day, and the volume dropped by 22%. turnover by 16% and the number of deals by 4%. So Gloria, what could be the driving factors behind these declines, and how significant are they?
Well, looking at the decline in volume turnover, a number of deals suggest a slightly subdued trading day. So there could be various reasons for this, actually, ranging from profit taking by investors on external factors influencing the market segment at large. So it'd actually be interesting to explore the major economic and political events that could have impacted the investor behavior.
Absolutely. And looking at the market capitalization, it's actually still at 1.44 trillion Kenyan shillings. And it's crucial to consider that the market cap as it reflects the overall value of the listed companies. But any insights into what this figure actually signifies on the Nairobi Securities Exchange?
Well, the market capitalization is actually a significant factor of the exchange's overall size and value. So a market cap of around 1.44 trillion Kenyan shillings indicates the combined worth of all these listed equities and companies. So investors often use this market capitalization to access the relative size and the market and make decisions correctly.
So moving on to individual equities, we actually observing a diverse performance among the 44 listed companies. And BK Group actually takes the lead amongst the gainers with a substantial 9.85% share price appreciation. So what factors are we looking at in play at this point?
Well, certainly, the factors that could be attributing to this, Victor, analyzing the company's announcements, these financial reports, it could actually provide more insights concerning this. And looking into actually BK Group is notable gain, actually. BK Group PLC is actually a bank, it's from Bank of Kigali. That is a Rwanda-based financial services company that actually operates via three segments. This is retail banking, corporate banking, and central treasury. The retail banking segment actually includes banking services such as current savings accounts and fixed deposits to individuals, retail lending, which are mainly consumer loans, and mortgage lending, mortgages.
Well, of course, there's a lot going on, and BK Group being a cross-listed entity, we do think there's a lot of pressure for investors as we speak. But going straight to the numbers, as of yesterday, we're seeing 35.7 Kenyan shillings, and it closed the trading day with that exact number per share on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So this was recording a gain of 9.8% over its previous closing price of 32.50 Kenyan shillings.
Interesting. So we'll be back from a short break and give you more details concerning the Nairobi Stock Exchange and some exchanges from the rest of Africa. Thank you.
Smart 24, driving business.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda, yeah, the taste of Uganda, the taste.
Luxury redefined at Seasan Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy, exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to wait your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasan Hotel. So visit today at Plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasan Hotels, luxury redefined.
Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. I'm going straight up into the numbers proceeding from BK Group that we analyze with the company's announcements on its financial reports, providing some valuable insights. Looking at the losers, well, we have East African Cables that actually faced a share price depreciation of 6%. So are there any specific challenges you could have on this company, Victor?
Well, not to say that there is any, but price depreciations like this actually are very much influenced by various factors such as company specific challenges. We are looking at industry trends in a situation like this one, and broader economic conditions. But it would be worthwhile to investigate the recent developments in East African cables and the cable manufacturing sector to better understand the context.
Indeed. And turning our attention to the most traded stocks, we have Safaricom that recorded the highest traded volume with around 3.26 million shares that exchanged hands yesterday. This telecommunication giant, as we all know, often plays a significant role on the NSE. So how does Safaricom's performance actually impact the broader market?
Safaricom's high trading volume actually indicates that it has a really substantial market presence. So as a leading company in the telecommunication sector, its performance is closely watched by investors and can influence overall market sentiment. But analyzing Safaricom's financial health and strategic initiatives would provide deeper insights into its impact on the market.
Indeed, and exploring various insights concerning Safaricom actually, and exploring the market indices also at large, we see the NSE All Share Index that increased by 0.99 points, representing a 1.09% gain. So despite these positive movements, however, the year-to-date loss is notable at around 28.02%. So in your own financial knowledge, Victor, how do you think investors should actually interpret this?
Well, the all share index gains actually suggest positive momentum, and we're looking at that in a short term particularly. But the substantial year-to-date losses actually raise questions about the overall market performance. But investors should consider that timeframes are a really big matter when making decisions. So it could be worthwhile to investigate factors contributing to the annual loss and assets, and it also helps you to assess whether they are temporary or indicative of deeper issues. But looking at other indices in this case, such as the 10-share index and the 20-share index, as well as the 25-share index, we're actually seeing a mix of gains and losses. And with all this in play, Gloria, how do these indices actually complement the all-share index in providing a comprehensive view of the market?
Well, each index actually has a different segment from the market, Victor, offering insights into specific categories of the various stocks. So looking at the NSE 10, the 20, the 25 share indices often provide an announced understanding of different groups and stocks performances. So analyzing these indices alongside the Nairobi All Share Index can also help investors to make more informed decisions based on their specific investment goals and risk tolerance.
Indeed, but before we actually proceed with more insights on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, I feel like Safaricom is also another really a notable entity, and it has been showing some remarkable performance ever since they set up their services in Ethiopia. And we're yet to see how far it is going to take the entity and how it's going to be of importance to investors. But hopefully also Safaricom to get cross-listed and appear on the Uganda Securities Exchange, and we can see how that will play out for the East African community financial markets at large. So, Gloria, what are you seeing from Safaricom?
Well, looking into Safaricom's numbers, Safaricom actually closed the day at 13.70 Kenyan shillings per share on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. This was recording around 1.9% gain over its previous closing price of 13.45 Kenyan shillings. So Safaricom actually started the year with a share price of 24.15% Kenyan shillings, but has lost around 43.3% of that share price of valuation.
Well, that particular information is actually ranking it the 58 on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, and that is in terms of year-to-date performance. So shareholders' fears are maybe allied by the 5% increase of the Safaricom's share price since October 24th, which is the sixth best on the Nairobi Stock Exchange.
Indeed, and looking into some of other bottom losers on yesterday's trading session, we have Car and General Kenya, which is actually a limited in Kenya's best holding company engaged in sales and service of power equipment, household goods and agriculture trucks and implements, and marine engines, motorcycles, motor cars, and so on. So it's listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange with a ticker symbol of CGEN. So looking into the numbers, Victor, what do you have from cars?
Well, Car and General Kenya Limited actually is at 22.5 Kenyan shillings, and it closed its trading day at 22.5 Kenyan shillings per share on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, recording a 3.8 drop from its previous closing price of 23.40 Kenyan shillings. And Car General actually began the year with a share price of 47.45 Kenyan shillings, but has since lost 52.6% of that price valuation. So this is ranking it the 62nd on the Nairobi Securities Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. And the shareholders' worries are actually compounded by the fact that Car and General Enterprises has lost 14% of the stock's value from October 24th to date.
Indeed, and looking into this World Bank latest news from Kenya, whereby it has revealed $12 billion, or you could call it Kenyan shillings of 1.8 trillion loan package for Kenya that is actually expected to be dispersed by the end of the next 3 years, beginning on July 24th, in which it will support the journey to become the upper middle income country by 2030.
Well, that is indeed promising information, and I'm very sure we're yet to see a lot in play after that money comes in for Kenya. Kenya has been going through a kind of a mild, kind of a rough financial situation with the dollar bringing the Kenyan shilling down, and with importation of fuels and all these issues rising from electricity and fuel prices rising. So we do believe funding like that is bound to create a platform for development. So Gloria, what more information do you have from that end?
Well, looking at Kenya, it has also resumed cargo rail services to and from the port of Mombasa following an interruption due to heavy rains and landslides along the coastal region. And the state-owned operator, this was actually announced on Monday. The Horn of Africa region that experienced intense rainfall and flash flooding linked to the El Nino weather phenomenon in the recent weeks has actually claimed a lot of lives, actually dozens of lives, including around 46 in Kenya.
Well, as that is going on, we also want skip the East African Community's revision of economic targets to attain monetary union dreams. And with a move like this, of course, we're yet to see everything take the high road. But after missing the first deadline of the attainment of a monetary union, the East African Community Secretariat is seeking to revise the macroeconomic convergence targets to set in 2013 as prerequisites to the rollout of a single currency in the region. So the monetary union dream, the third pillar of the East African Community Economic Integration, was planned to be released by November of 2023, setting the precedent for the issuance of a common currency in the region, but this has been missed, and ministers of finance last year extended the deadline by 10 years as all of the four core prerequisites to the establishment of the monetary union. So this is including attaining macroeconomic convergence targets, and they are yet to be realized.
Indeed, and now that's enough from I think from Kenya. Those are enough insights from Kenya. But shifting our focus on the rest of Africa, we are looking at Johannesburg from South Africa. What do we have from Johannesburg, brother?
Well, Johannesburg is a really integrated, it's a really developed financial market, and we really do take pride in it as an African financial market. And we're seeing so many activities going on in this market. We're looking at cross-listed entities all the way from the New York Stock Exchange. So that is quite some achievement. But diving into Johannesburg Securities Exchange trading session, as of yesterday, we're looking at a significant amount of shares traded, totaling to about 277,697,652, with a market value of 19,408,151,863.58 rands. However, there actually seems to be a notable decline in various metrics compared to the various trading days. So let's start by exploring the reasons behind this downturn.
Indeed, this data actually indicates a 53 decline in volume, 26% a decline in turnover, and a 22% decline in the number of deals. So such substantial drops raise questions what could have triggered this various pullback from the trading activity. So we should consider, I think, external factors, various market segments, and any recent events that could have influenced the investor behavior.
Absolutely. Now, looking at the market capitalization, we are seeing 18.5 trillion rands, and it is essential to gauge the overall size and value of the Johannesburg Securities Exchange. But how significant is this figure, and what does it imply for investors?
Well, the market capitalization, as we all know, represents the aggregate value of all the various listed companies on the JSE. So right now that is standing at 18.5 trillion rands. It's actually an impressive figure, showcasing the substantial size of the exchange. And investors often use this market cap to as a metric and a key indicator to access the scale and potential opportunities within the market.
Well, moving on to individual equities, we actually are observing a diverse performance among the 297 listed equities, and Karoo takes the lead among gainers with a remarkable 40.39% share price appreciation, and with a number that is that impressive. What factors could be driving such a substantial gain?
Well, the gain of magnitude from Karoo warrants actually a closer look. It could be driven by the strong financial results, positive industry trends, or even company-specific developments. Analyzing the recent news and the financial reports of Karoo could provide deeper insights into the factors behind this impressive performance.
Well, conversely, NX Group faced a 10.42 price depreciation, marking it as the biggest loser. And with a situation like that one, challenges or industry-related issues might have contributed to this decline. But a double-digit price depreciation in this case actually suggests significant market movement, and investigating NX Group recent activities, financial health, and any external factors impacting its industry would, in this case, be of a lot of help to understand the context behind this notable decline.
Indeed, and looking into other companies like Sibanye Stillwater, its high trading volume actually indicates a substantial influence on the market activity as a major player in the mining sector. But its performance actually is also closely watched by the various investors, analyzing the company's financial production updates and any industry-related news provide a valuable impact on the broader market segment.
Well, now to explore the performance of the JSE market indices, the All-Share Index, or the J203, moved up by 493.22 points, representing a 0.66% gain. And despite this positive movement, the year-to-date gain still stands at 2.35%, signaling a more muted long-term performance. But how should investors interpret this mix of short-term gain and long-term modesty?
Well, the short-term gain and looking at the all-share index that suggests a positive momentum. However, the modest year-to-date gain points investors to consider the overall market strategy. Digging deeper into factors that could be influencing this annual performance and assessing whether they are sustainable or transient is crucial for making informed investment decisions.
Agreed. And looking at the other indices like the large cap index, top 40 index, the mid cap index, the small cap index, and the fledgling index, we're seeing a mix of gains and losses. But how do these indices collectively contribute to providing a comprehensive view of the market?
Well, Victor, each index represents a specific segment on the market itself, offering insights into various categories of stocks. The performance of the large cap, the mid cap, and the small cap stocks, as well as these fledgling companies, provides announced understanding on the market dynamics. Analyzing these indices in conjunction with overall market index helps investors actually to tailor their strategies based on their risk tolerance and investment objectives.
Well, the session, of course, represented a mix of gains and losses, so emphasizing the need for investors to adopt a comprehensive approach to analysis. But exploring individual market dynamics, industry trends, and the broader economic context will be crucial for making well-informed investment decisions in the dynamic environment of the Johannesburg Securities Exchange. But before we leave the Johannesburg Securities Exchange, don't you think it's worth looking deeper into one of the gainers of the Johannesburg Securities Exchange?
Exactly, like looking into Cairo Limited. I hadn't heard about Cairo as past analytics over the time.
Indeed.
But it's actually a global mobility software as a service platform that actually maximizes the value of automobile and workflow data by providing real-time data analysis solutions and smart transportation over 1.3 connected vehicles. So apparently it's headquartered in Singapore, and Cairo wholly owned car truck, whose SaaS platform provides customers with differentiated insights and data analysis to optimize their business and their workforce, and also increase efficiency, decrease costs, and improve safety.
So we're also looking at Karoo monitoring environmental impacts and also assisting with regulatory compliance and managing risk. But CarTrack actually serves customers in 23 countries across the 5 continents, and this is actually supporting more than 1 million subscribers as at January 31st, 2021. So its highly scalable platform serves both large and multinational enterprises and individual customers alike. So this is enabling it to address a large, growing, and underpenetrable global market. So CarTrack is a wholly owned subsidiary of Karoo. So Karoo is listed on the Johannesburg Securities Exchange and it has been so since April 21st of 2021, and it is traded under the ticker symbol KRO with the international securities identification that comes with it. But Kari Limited is currently the 73rd most valuable stock on the Johannesburg Securities Exchange with a market capitalization of 19.3 billion rands, which is about 0.104% of the Johannesburg Securities Exchange equity market.
Indeed, and Karo also is also the 324th most traded stock on the JSE, and has traded around 172,605 shares in around 1,348 deals, valued at around 79.6 million shares over the period. But shifting our focus on one of our top gainers, Victor, we are looking at a company called South Ocean Limited. South Ocean Limited is actually an investment holding company that is listed on the main board on the JSE. The group actually manufactures low voltage electrical cables through its subsidiary, and it's also its products are always sold or to wholesalers and distributors who supply the main building and the construction industry. So it also has investments in Hong Kong based company, and also Calibre International Limited holding company.
Well, South Oceans Limited is an investment and holding company. The firm, through its subsidiaries, manufactures electrical wires, as she said, and it has been listed on the Johannesburg Securities Exchange under the ticker symbol of SOH. So the international securities identification comes along with it. But the South Ocean Holdings Limited is currently the 324th most valuable stock on the Johannesburg Securities Exchange with a market capitalization of 244 million rands, which is about 0.0013% of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange equity market.
Indeed, and looking straight up into the numbers, it actually closed its last trading day at around 1.20 rands per share, recording an 18.8% gain over its previous closing price of 1.01 rands. So South Ocean actually began there with a share price of 1.21 rands, but has since lost around 0.83% of that price valuation, ranking it the 250th on the JSE in terms of year-to-date performance. And it also could be allied by around 19% increase on of its share price since October 2015, which is the 24th best on the JSE.
So South Ocean Holdings comes as the 331st most traded stock on the Johannesburg Securities Exchange over the past 3 months, and it has been traded. It has actually traded a total value of 129,803 shares in 29 deals, valued at 142,202 over the period. So this is coming with an average of 2,060 traded shares per session, a volume high of 55,197, and that one in particular was achieved on November 22nd of the same period.
Indeed, those were some valuable insights concerning the Johannesburg Stock Exchange market performance. But before we proceed to the rest of all African countries and looking at these exchanges, Victor, I would like us to look at the latest news that has been breaking the internet concerning Binance, whereby we have this breaking news in the cryptocurrency world, whereby we have Changpeng Zhao, the co-founder and ex-CEO of Binance, who's facing actually a critical legal situation in the USA. And as we dive deeper into this matter, we are joined by our financial analyst, Victor, to provide some insights on the potential impact of Binance and the broader crypto market at large.
Well, the crypto market is indeed a hefty one, and a lot goes on the crypto market. So hopefully the charges and this situation might come to pass in whoever is on the right side. But we're actually looking at significant developments, and the US prosecutors are arguing that Zhao's not to leave the country ahead of his sentencing in February 2024, following his guilty plea to one count of causing Binance to fail to maintain an effective anti-money laundering program. So this is raising concerns about the future of Binance and how it could impact the crypto industry.
Indeed, let's start by looking at the specific charges against Zhao, Victor. So how serious is this charge connected to failing an effective anti-money laundering program?
So, Gloria, in this case, the charge is actually quite a serious one. and it is directly related to the regulatory compliance of Binance. So anti-money laundering programs are actually crucial in the financial industry to prevent illicit financial activities for a prominent exchange like Binance. So a failure to maintain an effective AML program could have serious consequences. So this could be including regulatory penalties and a loss of trust from users and investors. But Zhao is a citizen of the United Arab Emirates and Canada, and the prosecutors argue that allowing him to return to the UAE poses a substantial risk of flight. But Gloria, I believe you also have some good knowledge, a good amount of knowledge on this particular situation. So how might this impact Zhao and Binance's operations?
Well, the prosecutor's concern is rooted in Zhao's substantial wealth outside the US and his minimal ties within the country itself. So if Zhao is to leave US, it could potentially hinder ongoing legal proceedings that make it more challenging for US authorities to enforce any charges, penalties, or even sanctions. From a business perspective, the absence of a key figure like Zhao during a crucial time could impact Binance's strategic decisions and its overall sustainability.
Well, Zhao has actually proposed returning to the UAE on an appearance bond of 175 million US dollars, secured by 15 million US dollars in cash and 3 responsible persons pledging property or cash. So how likely is it that the court will actually accept this proposal?
Well, the court's decision will likely hinge on whether Zhao can actually convincingly demonstrate that he is not likely to flee and return to the UAE. Or the proposed bond amount is substantial, and the court could carefully weigh the factors, including Zhao's ties to the UAE, the reliability actually of the security provided, and the potential consequences if he actually flees or maybe fails to appear.
Well, so the prosecutors are actually arguing that Zhao's significant assets and strong ties to the UAE, along with the government's inability to extradite him from there, favor a ruling that he remains in the US until his sentencing. So this legal battle is actually shaping up to be complex and could involve intense arguments from both sides. So the prosecutors will likely emphasize the risk of flight. So Zhao's considerable wealth and the challenges associated with extradition from the UAE. Zhao's legal team, on the other hand, will likely present counter-arguments highlighting his willingness to comply with conditions and the security measures proposed in the appearance bond.
Well, Binance is a major player in crypto space, Victor. So according to you, how might this legal issue impact the exchange and the broader cryptocurrency market at large?
So the news is already having an impact on Binance's reputation and legal troubles for a key figure like Zhao can actually create uncertainty and erode confidence among users and investors. So if Binance faces regulatory scrutiny or penalties as a result of this case, it could lead to changes in its operational practices and potentially impact its market share. So moreover, the crypto market tends to be sensitive to news involving major exchanges, and this development may contribute to increased regulatory scrutiny on the industry as a whole.
Indeed, and given the growing regulatory focus on the cryptocurrency, actually, regulators worldwide actually are monitoring closely the cryptocurrency space, and with any issues with major exchanges like Binance could prompt inquiry security on others. So exchanges may actually face stricter regulatory requirements to ensure compliance with this anti-money laundering and other financial regulations. So this could actually reshape the regulatory space for the entire cryptocurrency industry.
So the impact, the international aspect actually adds another layer of complexity, and the regulators in different jurisdictions may actually coordinate efforts to address potential regulatory violations. So Zhao's citizenship in the UAE and Canada introduces diplomatic considerations, and it will be interesting to see how these nations respond to legal proceedings. So the outcome could set precedent for how cross-border legal issues involving prominent figures in the crypto space are handled.
So as we wrap up this discussion, Victor, what should investors and some users of Binance be mindful in a situation like this and its unlikely unfolding?
So investors and users should closely monitor developments in this case and pay attention to any statements or actions from Binance. So transparency and clear communication from the exchange will be crucial in maintaining trust. And additionally, they should stay informed about potential changes in Binance's operational practices and any regulatory updates that may impact the broader crypto market.
Well, thank you for this valuable insights, Victor. This is really undoubtedly a story that will continue to unfold, and we'll be here to keep our viewers informed on any latest developments concerning the cryptocurrency space and all. Thank you for joining us today. It's me, Gloria, together with
Victor.
Thank you.
Smart 24 Drive